Flat Earth Social. Meet others on the same level.
Come and join the truth revolution.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, it's our 4th birthday today. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And we have had the pleasure of some amazing people over the last 4 years. None so more than our next guest, who's been with us a few times. He doesn't need really a lot of introduction, apart from he is an amazing truther, an original flat earther for this time around, and it's our great pleasure to welcome the wonderful Martin Liedtke to the stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. My God, there's so many beautiful people in one place at one time. I'm really impressed. Anybody in this room has not come across my content before? Is there anyone? Show of hands. Okay, most of you have then. That's absolutely fantastic. What I'm going to talk about today is a field of inquiry which I released on the world. You can see this stuff on the mainstream now, you know, this is being really embraced, and it is the fact that there was a civilization that went before us. Okay, it was an unbelievable civilization based on different technologies, unbelievable healing technologies, and as what I've discovered with my research, the potential for humanity is absolutely fantastic. And what I'm talking about is extra life. We've been told a half-life in this place. That's part of this demonic bad guys, basically the death cult that got running in this place, okay? Which I'm not part of. I think the age can be reversed, okay? I think people can get younger. I think people can have a really long, healthy, abundant life, okay? Now the key is, to get a healthy and abundant life is quite simple, and it's this: letting go of fear. Okay? Now, I noticed today, with a conversation I had today, that somebody had a few fear topics, which is normal, I guess, in the current climate. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on. But going from the television, now this is the culprit, okay? I've watched telly for 25 years. I can't tell you what's happening in the contemporary world, okay? But I'm getting a sense, right, since 2020, the world has completely changed, okay? But they did us a great favour. Now, Ian mentioned earlier the progression of flat Earth. Now, back in 2015, when I started talking about flat Earth, honest to God, you get trolled so bad. Yeah, this was something so socially unacceptable. I thought, this is right down my road. This is so great. Right. They hate it. This is brilliant. But what I found was it introduced critical thinking skills to people that can think outside the box, and not just take the programming that is given to them. And then when you really scrutinise and you look into, you find out the programming has literally no fibre and no evidence. But we give it a sanctum with so many subjects in this place. So when I got into the flat Earth, maybe 2 years into the flat Earth, I started talking about one of my passions, which is alternative history. And what got me into this subject was I noticed that the buildings in the city where I live, okay, had these lower levels, okay, the lower level windows, which are just facing brick walls. And I thought, well, what is going on with that? And the age of the buildings, I thought, well, they all say 1880, 1890, 1900. What? Where was the world before that? Is the world just shit out of nowhere in 1800s? All of the inventions, all of the buildings, everything that you see today just came along. That includes the rail network, everything. All came out in the 1800s. It seems to be seemingly the humanity never knew nothing before this period prior to what they call the Industrial Revolution. Apparently, humanity's been here for all of this period of time, and yet this is the most technologically advanced we have been. Well, I argue that point. I don't think this is. I think we are in the Dark Ages. I think we are a post-apocalyptic society, like the later days of Mad Max, feeling our way, trying to find out what this place is, and we're getting a sense of what this place is. And the more we find out what this place is, the more that it's showing to us. It's called the Great Unveiling. Now, there's something happening in this place, in this realm, which is happening to millions and millions of people, okay? And they're calling it a spiritual awakening. They're calling it the quickening. There's all sorts of names, and people are considering themselves, I think I've chosen you. I'm different from everyone else. I literally can't talk to anybody else about what I know because they can think I'm a madman. How many people are in that situation? When you think to yourself, well, you're the madman because you believe in absolute rubbish. Yeah? So I dug into the alternative history fields. I found that there was a great civilization, some regard as Tartaria, and there was a golden age in the recent past, less than 200 years ago. I think there is a narrow window here of 250 years for humanity to blossom to a point, and then there's a reset. Okay? It's a reset we are going through right now. It's a consciousness shift, okay, to the next stage of what they call consciousness. And what will be happening then is things you would expect, is synchronicities, seeing numbers over and over again, precognitive abilities, your psychic abilities increase. There's so many things that are coming on with this awakening. And I think that the governments, or the powers that should not be trying to stem the flow of this awakening with confusing, you know, even wars, anything to get everybody thinking fear thoughts and not thinking about the truth. Okay? And the truth is, history is being rewrote by the victors. Okay? Somewhere in the 1800s, I would give it a guess, it's about 1811 through to 1816 was the reset period. Okay? Because there was too many biblical events across the plain, and many people lost their lives in this period. And then we think that the whole of this place was completely empty of people. We think in the 1800s. That's what the evidence is showing. And we think that there was a repopulation program. You talk about Guy Anderson, he talks about the cloning program. Where did they all come from? It could be out of a lab, it could be some sort of underground program. But the fact still remains that I think this place is totally repopulated every single time. Okay, we get to a certain stage of this awakening, find out what the score is, what we're doing here, what this is, because that's what we're all doing here, what is this? Yeah? And then that hastens the reset. Okay, because they are so struggling right now. I can literally sense it. I can literally sense them, the powers that should not be, losing their shit because of what's happening here tonight. Okay? People thinking for themselves. Now this video here, I generated by AI maybe a month or two ago, and it'll give you an idea of the subjects that I'm talking about, and it'll give you an image or a vision of the civilization that I have re-envisioned to bring to humanity. Okay, so here we go. You are okay?
Same old buildings, different towns. Cobblestones, I've seen that before, but nobody knows what they're for. They say we built it line by line, brick by brick, over time. But something about that just feels off, like I'm hearing a story that's been cut. Something in the line, they call it progress, call it change, but this don't feel like it rearranged. Feels like something got wiped away, and we're living on what remains. I don't know what went down, but I feel it all around. Something doesn't fit, it don't feel right. Like the truth was left behind. Something doesn't fit, I can't pretend. This is where it all began. They showed it once, then took it down. Build it up, then burn the town. Why would you hide what you found? Power in the air, flowing through the sky. No pay for every breath, just to get by. Don't match what we're told. Stories shift as they get old. Feels like truth got cut in half. Rewritten just to make it last. And I ain't saying I know it all. Just hearing echoes through the walls. Too many things that don't align. Too many cracks in the design. Something doesn't fit. It's everywhere. In the ground, in the air, something doesn't fit. I can't see. The more I look, it looks at me. Something happened.
Something did happen. The orphans. Oh, thank you.
Is that an AI song that you used?
Yeah. Just had to give the parameters of what to sing about and what I would say. So, I mean, as you can see, I've been travelling the world checking this architecture out, and it's based on a science that is the real science, not talking about quantum mechanics. I'm talking about bursting out of the field of infinite possibilities, what they say, but it's fractal. Okay, it's a fractal geometry, this place. I've seen it with my own eyes. There's a geometric setup, which is fractal. You only got to look at a tree to know this is true. The way the human body is set up to know this is true. Well, buildings in the past, not so much now, because buildings are just made temporary. I don't know whether you noticed. 100 years ago, we were supposed to be making buildings all in stone to last for hundreds of years. Now, they only build temporary. They're not building for the future. Should tell you something. They're building breeze block and just corrugated iron units everywhere, and the houses are literally insured for 15 years. They're not even going to last longer than that, any of the new builds. So they're not really planning for a future in our society. Now that should tell you something. The buildings in the past, which you can see here, okay, were based on this fractal geometry. These were living buildings. And what you would expect to find if you went into one of these buildings is a shift in your consciousness, okay? What you would get is a download of information as well, okay? I think that these buildings, some of them are churches, some of them are mosques, some of them are these Arab temples, but they are absolutely beautiful for a reason, because when you go into these buildings,
They literally affect your consciousness. They lift you up. And the architecture today, when you go around cities and you look, and it literally drops your soul. The brutalization of architecture is a deliberate thing for, you know, to make you feel not so fabulous. When you've got architecture like this, right, it affects your consciousness. So what kind of things would you expect if you were to go into one of these establishments, one of these churches? Well, I think not only do you get a download of information, and I'm not talking about clues, I'm talking about essential information, what you need to navigate in this place, okay? But I also think you would be able to possibly connect with other places that were like this as well, like what you call other churches as well. And think of it as maybe like the internet of the day. Yeah, look at the way that this thing drips. Okay, now there's a room in Cardiff Castle called the Arab Room. It's supposed to be worth like 18 million or something. They got the middle bit blocked up. The moment I walked in there, it's all in gold leaf, looks just like this. I felt a difference. I was like, whoa. But they had a red rope around the centre bit where you're supposed to stand under, you know, to get this full energy. But they blocked it off. So the people who designed the Arab Room, which was an architect called Burgess, he certainly knew about this technology when he was designing it. But the people today certainly do too, because they don't want you getting the benefits of this technology. Which, there's a couple of names for it. I coined this phrase years ago, antiquitech, okay? And also technasmia is another term used for this. There's other names as well, fusia, the Italians called it. Some of it is based on a vibrational quality as well. Now these are very interesting. You find these in temple roofs or ceilings in India, okay? There's no reasoning why they say when you research it, you ask AI, what exactly are these things? Well, they're called vaulting for a starter, like vault, like electric vault. They're called vaulting. And what you find is that they are literally beautiful geometry. And do any of you, well, we'll look into somatics in a minute, okay? But these things are based on somatics. So I think to design these, they probably had a pool of water. They probably put a vibrational frequency into the water. You know when a swimming pool reflects on a wall and you see the wavy lines? Well, I think that's what they're doing to do these beautiful images. I think they're doing a sort of a reflection of a somatic pattern. And then they just, well, they say that they're chiseling it in, but when these things were produced, there was only apparently copper chisels. And apparently somebody else to actually sharpen the chisel. But you can see the fractal geometry here, in this design. So they are not just aesthetics, okay? They are literally a living technology, okay? And some of the permeations of this cannot be overlooked. Like I said, de-aging. And what we all want, because you can't do anything in this life without it, is good health. And these places, okay, they give off a vibrational quality. Churches do, which we'll go into in a minute, and these vibrational qualities will heal you, So you can see there the fractal nature of this. If some people go into psychedelics, they'll tell you, you can see the fractal geometry of what this place actually is, the structure of this place. Once you tap in, this is basically what this is. It's a reality hack, okay? It's a form of, like I said, reverse aging and finding out the truth about this place. Now remember I mentioned the death cult that is in charge of this place, that wants everybody to be scared to death of death, even though every single one of us have to do it. Well, energy, we're all energy. That's all that's in this room is energy, okay? That your soul, or whatever is generating your body, is an electrical response that is animating your mitzvah, if you want to call it that. But you, the real you don't exist in the physical world. Okay? You exist in eternity, and you're there now. Okay? But your body's being animated, but the soul, or whatever this electrical impulse is that runs our body, that exists somewhere else. And it is completely still, and it is completely at peace. And there's two sides to the mind, and this technology, look at that, the flower of life. This technology will help you not only navigate, but sort out the psychology. So as you know, we've got an argument in our minds, we've got a psychopath living in the back of our mind, We got the ego versus the higher self. The higher self is a positive response. It will always say, yes, I can do, always full of love, always light up a room when they go in there, always make a difference, always a positive difference. But a person who's locked in ego, it'll be like, oh no, I can't do that, oh, I don't think I can make that, and they're full of fear, you know? So if you can override that ego response into the higher self, if you want to call it that, which is an ancient, more primeval you, which actually knows everything. So when you search and you research, because that's all you're doing is researching, you've already searched it, you've already done this all before, but you research it for verification of what you already know, deep down inside. And that's all of us. We all have that wisdom, okay? But the ego is stacking against you, and that's not true. This is not what's going on. All you have to do is override that with the greatest tool that we've been given in this place, and that's intuition. Okay? Intuition is the greatest tool. And you'll feel it, and you know it's true. Truth is a vibration. Truth is a frequency. You know, because when I find out, you know, with this research, I found some truths that have literally flattened me in the chair. I've been like, whoa, and literally flattened. Goose pimples, like having a spiritual experience. Happens quite regularly to me. I'm quite lucky to get these. Excuse me. So, cymatic patterns, signature patterns of vibration. I know a lot of you are down with this. All matter is crystalline, all matter is frozen light. Now, I watched a little documentary the other day with Bruce Lee on there, and he was talking about never say anything negative about yourself. You ever see that?
I've seen that, yeah.
Because we are made of water, and fractal geometry exists in us, and these somatic waves. Now, if you say bad words are spells, you will be casting a spell on yourself. You could possibly make yourself ill by even saying, oh, I think I feel that word, okay? Will sort of trigger that, because the body hears. And not only that, it doesn't forget either, okay? You have to be so careful with your mind, you know? It is a mental process, and it is a discipline as well. But it all been revealed to me through this science. These ancients, if you want to call them, the people of the past, they knew about this, and they knew about how to expand life, and, sorry, just whizzed through there. So this is an example of how much they knew. This is in Chartres Cathedral in France, and what you can see on the floor is what is essentially a circuit board. Yeah, Schumann resonance. Have you actually seen this?
I've not been there,
No.
but no, I know of it. Yeah, it's just incredible.
Yeah, it is absolutely mind-blowing, but it just goes to show that the Chartres Cathedral is supposed to be built by medieval monks. It's one of the oldest cathedrals in France, okay? It's like, what, 1110 or something? Yet the monks that built this had the understanding of Schumann resonance. How so? How so? Well, they had all of the understanding in the past, especially when it comes down to what the frequency is really doing to us. Negative frequencies we have to stay away from. Now, I've changed my life in so many ways with these discoveries of conserving my chi energy. So did you know, in 1953, a worldwide agreement was made based on an idea by the Rockefeller Foundation to change the frequency of music. They changed it from the natural harmonic resonance of 432 to the current of consciousness suppressing 440. Was anybody aware that they did this with contemporary music? Yeah. So I had all of my music collection, all my back catalogues redone in 432. How they're supposed to sound, but believe you me, you just get amazing buzz, when it fills your body with music, when you get the best buzz in the world off it. Because that's what I get. Music's one of the greatest things in my life, no doubt about it. So interestingly, silicone is a key mineral found in hair, okay? Undoubtedly contributing to its antenna abilities. Crystals have the power to receive and transmit energy waves. The earliest radio-fused quartz crystals were changed to crystal sets. I used to build these myself. The main composition of quartz is silicon. Now, that's our hair, okay? Now, the Rosicrucians and other, in religious fraternities of the past, realised that long hair was a conduit to information. Now, the information, I think, doesn't come from the human mind, okay? I think that this is just a filter from the field of infinite possibilities, what they call it. If you literally had to see all of that, it would explode your mind. So I think it was Aldous Huxley had an idea away from mainstream media, thinking that he thought it was a filter and it would only give you situational awareness and what you needed to deal with your, your everyday doings, to be able to navigate the world. Okay, so I don't think the mind is doing exactly what they say, and I think all the information is there for us to receive. Going into these buildings, these churches, and I'm not talking about the churches of today, I'll just get to that. Truth vibrates at a specific frequency. You don't only hear it, but you feel it. Okay? Now, churches today, if you go into them, they're not very popular at the moment, but say when they were popular, you go into them and you do a prayer. The organs would be going, okay? You get all this vibrational quality, and you make a prayer, and then later on in the day, it comes true. And they'd be like, whoa, that church was amazing. God has really come through for me this time. So what is really going on is you doing it. And they are hijacking it. So they got a middleman, so you've got to give them money. That's why they want BMWs. And that's not what's really going on, because it's always you doing it. Because they don't tell you about the power of the human mind. And the human mind and its vibrations and its waves are not confined to your skull, not in there, okay? Everything is out there. Your mind is too out there, okay? If you want it to be, You can, there's a little video here I just want to show you. I don't know whether you've seen this in the past, but it's evidence of technasmia. And this is in a temple in Phnom Penh, in Cambodia, the capital of Cambodia. And it is some evidence of this technology being used. And what you're seeing here is essentially energy gathering. Okay, they're using, it's down to the specificity of the metal, the balance of the metal, which they don't use anymore or make anymore. It vibrates, it oscillates, and then it creates a charge. And they were using it for electricity in the past and a number of other things like healing qualities and healing vibrations, along the same lines as what you mentioned earlier with the rife machine. Okay, they're like a massive rife machine. Okay, which would heal you. So there is some evidence out there of Antiquitech. This church is also on another picture as well, lit up. So there's double evidence as well that this stuff is happening. There's a weird sound with it as well. And the birds sort of flock around it, so they're attracted to the vibration as well. So if you imagine that all of these buildings, see these bits sticking up here, these knobbly bits? These here? All part of the technology, because they interact with the chi energy. They twirl it, spin it, and they create a charge. And the human body is exactly the same technology as these buildings. Okay? So this is a church in Chesterfield. Anybody else seen this? Yeah. So the narrative is, right, when you look into the church of Chesterfield, it says that they started building it, and it started to twist, but they thought, oh, we'll just carry on going and build it, twist it all around. And it's the only example, except for one in Poland, that is similar in the world, okay? So I think there was something else that happened which actually twisted this spire, okay? This spire. And what it was an event, okay? An electromagnetic event, which we'll get to in a minute. This is Milan Cathedral, and this is a highly scientific term that I invented for these knobbly bits. Okay? We got lots and lots of knobbly bits here. So, like I said, the people who engineered this, they understand about the way that this consciousness is structured, and they understand the spinning of chi energy as well. Okay? And they spin it, and this thing is like cloaked as well. There's an energy field. And even if you were in the vicinity of this when it was fully active, you would feel the benefit. Somebody in you mentioned, Martin, you mentioned electroculture. Well, this vibrational quality will give growth to plants tenfold. I've seen evidence of ananas, which is a pineapple this big, through Antiquitech.
Mark,
yeah.
You know electroculture grows the vegetables bigger?
Yeah.
Is this anything to do with why people were bigger? Just a theory.
No. This has been put out there, and I think there's definitely something going on with that. It could be that the fall of Antiquitech and the fall, when there was a reset, yeah, that there's a few things happened. The giants were missing. Okay, they've gone somewhere. There was an absence in population, so we had a reset. Maybe everyone got wiped out. Okay, but a lot of people think that the fall of man was the fall of the big trees. Consciousness dropped as well, which is a very possible thing. But this Antiquitech, when it was online, was doing great things for the whole of humanity, and it was all on the one grid. Okay, there wasn't separate countries, a war and all that. They were all on the one grid. And this is the way the world was run. All of these new dialectics is all a recent thing. It's only been around a couple of hundred years. So the history books tell us that we're so warring and we're so this and we're so that. I'm like, that's really weird. I've been here like nearly 60 years. I've never seen anyone who really wants to do warring or anything. It's just really weird. Everyone I've met is like, no, I don't fancy doing that. Except for Argentina. You could drop a few bombs on France on the way over. No, I didn't mean that. So there it is. Now you can see that this thing is just so big compared to all of the other buildings. Okay, now these buildings have come along later, and this is an exhibit of your world still left. Why is it still there? Why didn't it get wrecked? Well, I did a bit, and I'll give you loads of examples of these buildings actually being ruined, and then, after the reset, teams come in, if you want to call them that, and everything gets repurposed. That includes the churches. The churches were originally healing centres, places where you go to heal, talk to people, philosophical conversation, feel absolutely fantastic, leave the building, get on with your life, because the way that life was run back then is completely different to now. Because we're based on everyone dies and everything's miserable in this place. Not in this realm, okay? Because people weren't worried in the same way. People weren't worried at all. The architecture shows you. So it seems like as well that there is aspects to the computer world as well with the architecture. And I proposed, over the years, that the circuit board cities theory, where you can see evidence of places like in Egypt or in Mexico, where the overhead plan is actually a motherboard of a computer. Same for Las Vegas, Angkor Wat, new places too, new cities too. From above, look like they're circuit boards. They have everything. They have the heat sink, they have the motherboard. So could it be that the whole plane, okay, was running some sort of computer circuitry? If so, what was it generating? Okay, what was it making? Was it reality? Was it consciousness? Because that goes along the lines of, okay then, maybe all this is all AI, and maybe this is all computer anyway. Which a lot of people are thinking. A lot of people think that this is a simulation. I don't think that. I think this is a spiritual experience myself, to want for a better word. And I think that this place that we're in now is nothing more than a schoolroom. Okay? On a personal level, I actually think that we're in hell. I also think that we're deceased, which feels like being alive. Because I'm not dead, I got a heartbeat. But yeah, you have a heartbeat in the afterlife. Okay? This is what it feels like. And that the next place that we go after this, they don't want any old riffraff through the door. So we are tested in this place by offering temptation and all of the things that we can have in this place through our lifetimes, so we can choose through apparently free will whether or not to take these things or not. Okay? And then you get to the edge and apparently we're all judged. Judged by who? God. God. Is this the rule book of God where, thou shalt not kill, unless you do it for us and we'll give you a medal? It's a very sketchy sort of rule book that I don't really want to go by. This is also in a cathedral in Chartres, and you can see this bit here actually resembles CERN. Yeah? But it's also into infinite depth. It looks like you could just step in it and just fall. But the similarities with CERN are unmistakable. So what does CERN do? Well, I think it's a money soaker, just like NASA. They tell us that they're, smashing particles to, make the Big Bang happen. The Big Bang? Isn't that like an explosion that like started everything? If you did that, wouldn't that kill everything? It's like, well, yeah. So why are you doing that then? So yeah, in the centre of Chartres, you can see this. They have literally put a schematic for a circuit board in a church floor, which is supposed to be from the medieval period.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, it's right in the middle. It's a proper schematic. Yeah, I've seen an overlay, and it actually matches perfectly the computer components of modern day. It's unmistakable.
Wow.
So, yeah, I know. So I went into the field of antiquitech and churches quite early on, and this bit blew my mind more than anything, was the organs, okay, and the rose windows. Now, the rose windows, they have a quality in themselves. They use lead crystal, they're special dyes, but they emanate resonance through the window as well. Think of it as like a speaker that gets clarified and cleared, okay, before it leaves the glass, okay, because you can hear them outside. The organs, well, they're good for your organs. They're good for anything that begins with org, actually, okay? So these are a healing device. I know what you're thinking there. Oh, no, I'm not going to say that. But they are absolutely fantastic. So these are rods put together. So when they discovered these, when they come in and repurpose these buildings, I don't think they knew what these were. They stuck a harpsichord, the first keyboards they put underneath them. And they're like, oh, right, they're literally for sound. But earlier on, I think that these were much more powerful, and I reckon they did much more. So here is churches revealed here, the somatic patterns that you can see there. They'll give you what charge it is on this picture, and you can see it perfectly matched with a church window. So they are 100% using cymatics in what is supposed to be, in some cases, the Dark Ages, what they call, okay, the medieval period, which is quite mind-blowing. But I've got evidence of this as well. It goes back to the classical world, which is supposed to be 2,000 years ago. The Romans as well were using cymatics, and I've seen it even further back in Sumer. So the idea of having these pipes facing up at different levels is not just like for, you know, oh, this is beautiful aesthetics. This is a highly technological science, okay, for all of the different frequencies that you will need to heal you, okay? And they will claim, the church, then, that they're doing that. It's like, oh, that was us, that was. We did that. But look at some of these examples of these in the past. Absolutely fantastical. So that would have been their pre-reset, I think, that organ. Okay, I think it would have been their pre-reset. I think the arrival, so the people that came in after the reset, like I said, I think everything in this place was repurposed. I think that the railway stations that you witnessed, like Paddington Station, and all these giant domed buildings, they'll tell us they were built in the 1850s or the 1860s. I think that they're all older. Okay, I think that they were used to deploy large air balloons. Okay, and I think that the age of railway goes back much, much earlier. And you know, the narratives for inventing the plane in the Wright brothers and 5 years later having overhead fights on biplanes in the First World War in a matter of only years from this, you know, balsa wood plane, the first in the world. It's exactly the same narrative for the train. You know, Robert Louis Stevenson had a train, oh, he nearly blew her up. It went 8 miles an hour. Literally, yeah, 40 years later, they got pneumatic trains in America that are running on air. Yeah?
They do rockets to the moon in 4 years after the first.
Yeah, let's just move on from that. I'm not going to acknowledge anything to do with space is even real. Okay? So, if anyone does ask a space question, I'm going to say, next question, please. So yeah, these examples of Russian built-in sure, they're all over actually. You get these in like Estonia, where my father's from, and other places. But you can see that the tiles on the onion domes are made of, ceramic. Now, ceramic you will see used in all sorts of electrical components. Spark plugs, they're made out of ceramics, other components because of their conductivity. So what you get is these resonators, like I said, they're down to the symmetry. And I can literally do a little bit of antiquitech in my front garden. I've got railings in the front. And when the wind goes through, I can hear them oscillating. I can hear them literally singing. And I can go like that with my finger on the railings, and I can get a tone, okay? I can get a vibration. That's just on railings. These things oscillate like this, right? And then they generate a charge, they go down into these domes, it's all collected, and they had electricity. Now, I remember back years and years ago, my partner said to me, oh, my grandmother in 1950, they were going to fit, she had gas, and they were going to fit electricity in the house, because there was still a lot of people had gas back then, gas lights, and she wouldn't have it in the house. And she said, everyone's got to have electric. She said, I am not falling for that trick again. Again. Electricery. It says the name in the words, etymologically, the words is electric. Trick. Electricery. It's literally been rolled out before. And all of this, you know, cars now, they're just going back to being electric, although they are generated by diesel generators, which is just, you know. So, bells. This fella's tuning bells, okay? So that vibrational quality is super good for healing. I'm talking proper major diseases have been cured with this technology, okay? So, the bells of Europe, beautiful, you may or may not have known, have been completely replaced. Now, this bell here in China, actually this one's in Bangladesh actually, obviously that, what it's on, this wood thing here, is not its original place, okay? This bell belonged in an immense building that is no longer with us, okay? I don't even know how they were found in this thing, because it's out in the middle of nowhere and it's a ruin, essentially, in the modern day. But in the past, this would have been hung up in some sort of unbelievably big building. And the vibration of that would have been absolutely fantastic. Now, it's no coinkydink that in World War II, okay, Winston Churchill demanded that all of the bells in Britain stay silent until we win the war. So for 7 years, no church bells. Then the day that we won the war, okay, all of the church bells in Britain run simultaneously. I can't imagine what that sounded like. It must have been absolutely fantastic. It's the last time it happened in our history, okay? You think they do it more often, but they just won't. So the size on these bells, this one here is in Canada, an exposition. Now, I can't imagine how they're founding these bells, how they're making them, how they're even getting them up in the air. This is the days of horse and carty. You know, I get the trains could have took them, but some steam engines maybe later in the Victorian period. But I really think these are old school, old world bells. Big Ben, it's supposed to be the biggest bell in Britain. Okay, it's the most famous bell in Britain, isn't it? Okay. Now, I can't even imagine how they got that bell up in that tower in the first place. They must have had the biggest crane in the world. But when you look into the Houses of Parliament, it's the weirdest thing in the world. Apparently, 1853, there was another Houses of Parliament there that got completely burnt down, and then they built that one there today. Well, that's interesting. 1853, photograph's been around for nearly 10 years. I must be able to find one photograph of this burning down or being actually built, the new Houses of Parliament. Do you know, nowhere in reality is any pictures of the Houses of Parliament being built or even burnt down. Do you find that weird? Yeah. So, Tartarian pictures. This is a picture of Tartaria from 1664, I guess. And you can see that the emphasis is on the bells. I don't know if any of you have ever seen the film Kung Fu Hustle. Have you? Anybody? I doubt it. It's Japanese. It's Chinese. But they use bells as a technology for martial arts, like literally blowing and using this breath technique for literally a martial arts, for a discipline, for like flattening people. They use bells. So look at that.
Is that a bell?
That's a bell. And they're sat underneath it. So obviously it's on wooden stacks. So you wouldn't be able to hit that and get a toe. Okay? So that is there just purely for like just a look at. But if you see the banding on it as well, it's got the 4 angels. It's got the inertia plane. It's got Mount Meru North and Mount Meru South. Mount Meru in the middle. This is like literally the 4 angels idea of the flat earth, what I've talked about all these years, which is that book there. Okay? But these nobules, or these studs as well, they will be part of the technology as well. I think that's some sort of a dampening, if you like, for when that thing was active, because if that would have banged or clanged when it was active, I don't think you could have been in the same room. I think there would have been a wave off a bit that would have been on the floor. So, So did the giants say, well, like, look at you all, and we're off, we can't stand the sight of you, and off they went with the bells? I don't know. But you can see that in antiquity there have been absolutely giant bells. Okay, this one here is fascinating as well. That one is still active, he's still banging it with what looks like an antler, they're using it as a clanger. But why do you think they're doing it? So bells have been used as an alarm, as an alert, to alert you when there's an earthquake, because bells go off when there's an earthquake. They're the main, sort of earthquake device, if you like. But also, they have amazing healing frequencies. But, as well, I think there's a destructive quality to it, which I've talked about many times. And this is it. This is the Tsar bell. Okay? It's the biggest bell in history. It's in the forecourt of the Kremlin in Moscow. Okay? This thing weighs hundreds and hundreds of tons. This thing here weighs 190 tons, and it's just a fragment. That thing was supposed to be at the top of this ginormous tower. And then apparently there was an earthquake event, because apparently earthquake events happen all the time in the 1700s in Moscow. And apparently it fell into this position, and then they've just built this block thing. But you can see all this debris, and there's no caretaking in this. But the Tsar, something happened, a vibrational quality that cracked that bell. Exactly the same time as that bell was cracked in Russia, okay, this bell here, the Tsar bell. In America, they had exactly the same event. The Liberty Bell. There's a big crack through it. Exactly the same decade. It cannot be, so the two most important countries, Russia, its most famous bell is cracked, and America, its most famous bell is cracked. I think they're telling us something has cracked this. Some event has cracked these bells and twisted that column. On top as well, this technology, this is Four Angels technology of torsion twisting. This ball, the crucifer, the cross, is all part of the technology. Some people think that red mercury is in these balls, as well as in the Antiquitech balls. And these configures here, you see them clamping on. You're going to see them on top of vajras, you're going to see them on top of bells, and they're always exactly the same configuration. Four of them, because it's twisting chi on the Four Angels theory of everything. And here is the vajra. Now, I imagine after a reset, there would have been a lot of electromagnetic activity, and there was more thunderstorms, there was more thunderbolts, there was more electric in the air. And I think when there was a post-reset, I think the vajras would be much more important and probably come into their own, okay? They're so important that apparently Elon Musk has a vajra next to his bed, okay? And that's not just for aesthetics, he knows what these things were in the past, okay? So what are they? Well, I think they're like tricorders you get off of Star Trek. I think that these things would be waved about like a caduceus, like the Mercury caduceus, or any ancient healing object. And I think that these things would have been able to find where an illness was and heal it as well, along the same lines as we were mentioning with that right machinery and technology earlier. But then you can see this one is a half vajra and half bell. So all of this is based on vibrational technology. This is the Liberty Bell. It's up in Philadelphia. They took it around America on some of the expositions. They had it on display. And it's got a crack in it. And the narrative for it is absolutely stupid. They dropped it. They dropped it, it cracked. I think it's much more likely that this specific metal, okay, reacted and cracked to this specific vibration that rolled through this entire place, which caused the mud flood event. There it is. So no coincidence, Russia and America have exactly the same predicament. Now, not just some, all of the bells of Europe were collected in World War I and World War II. Reasoning, they were used for the armaments program, they say. They say that they used them, melted them down and built a load of tanks, bombs and shells. Okay, is that the case? Well, they reckon that they did this with the railings in Britain, didn't they? They took all the railings away and they went into the production of tanks. They took away all the railings. You just see stumps on tops of walls all over Britain because they cut all the railings away. When you look into it, you do the research, you find out that none of that metal went to any armaments program. They dumped it all in the Medway. Okay, all of that metal was dumped in the Medway. They didn't even use it. When we were struggling, we just lost all of our army in Dunkirk. But that's okay, because we just dumped all of that. Now, there has to be a big question of why they were doing that. I think the narrative of World War II is highly suspect. I really do think that they were both in on it together. I mean, Germany and Britain. So yeah, collected them all up. You see the same same configuration on top. All of them have. But the later bells, you don't see that. You don't see that configuration. Now this metal as well has been, it's been tested. That guy was testing it with a tuning fork. That was an old bell. There's not too many left in antiquity. The bells of Notre Dame are very famous, aren't they? Quasimodo, Esmeralda, the bells. And he's hanging on to a bell. So yeah, they collected them all up, and a lot of the antiquity of all the buildings as well. You can see some Phoenician statues, and a lot of brass work as well that they collected up, which apparently are getting melted down to make armaments for the war. Okay? So I find these interesting because if you look at these images here, there's wires coming out of the bell. Now that's not just like to hang it. There's literally wires coming out of the bell. So and these, what are these? So there's another technology that is being given to us concerning the bells, and wires coming out of them because they're probably creating a charge of some sort. So yeah, collect them all up, and they are really big. Now when I went to the Czech Republic, they still got some of the old bells left, and what you find is when one bell starts ringing, it creates a wave pattern, and then the next church answers, and then the next church answers, and then it encompasses the whole city. I thought, I see what they're doing there. It's like literally sending out impulses and waves, and you can cover the entire city on church bells at one time a day. So yeah, this old image here, you can see that these bells, since that has been taken down, that bell, the mud has literally ate it. Okay, some event has happened where this bell has sunk into the mud. You can see this church as well. Looks a bit muddy as well, big piles of mud around it. So I do think that there was, you discussed it with me earlier, what do you think happened with the mud flood event? And I don't think it was every single place, but I do think there was a vibrational quality that caused liquefaction, caused the mud to oscillate, which fell into the water table, and there's your mud flood. It's called lahars, and they're quite common. You can see them on YouTube, they happen all the time. In Peru, you can see them in Central America, they happen all the time. So, and you can see the buildings are all buried up to you, like what we see in Britain. So it's not lahars when it's happening in Britain. Yeah, it is. It's happened worldwide. And it's all the same depth of mud, 30 foot. 26 to 30 foot, no matter where it is. So you see that configuration again, that crowning thing? All the later bells are completely different. And they got some beautiful, so what I noticed with these, they got a lot of decoration, but they put words on them. Now, if you know about the spoken word does one thing with spells, but writing it down as well does something. So if you put the words on the bell, and then you're tapping the bell, it acts like a prayer flag. It'll put that idea or that prayer out into the ether if it's written on the bell. Okay? This science is known. So yeah, they tag them, they take them away, and they all disappear. And also, they smash them up with sledgehammers, them words that I was talking about. So that we don't really know what they were saying. These ones are in, I don't know, probably Latin, yeah. But they are smashing them up, so nobody actually finds out what they said either, which I find really sinister.
Right,
So,
on the top, in that picture, you can go back one.
yeah,
On the top where,
there's a head.
yeah, look at the heads on, there's 4 heads there, is it? But it's the same configuration for those things coming down.
Yeah, it is. I actually hadn't noticed that before, so thanks for drawing my attention to that. Yeah, but it's the same configuration, but they've used heads, haven't they? But yeah, this is a much older bell, I feel. So yeah, so after World War II, 1946, 1947, they brought new bells in, and they started introducing them to the cathedrals and churches of Europe all over again, because they all got taken away, and they were newly founded, new metal, and had no specific healing quality the way they used to in the past. Now what I think is going on, if I just show you here, is, excuse me, just mag that up. So this is a picture of the reset, okay? You can see here, you'll see this all over Masonic symbology and, occult symbology and alchemical symbology. It's the all-seeing eye and the plasma blast. You see it all over Masonic symbology as well, okay? And then what you get is the whole of civilization gets torched, as you can see, and then we're in a Mad Max state where there is literally no food. And the elites, which you can see here, they don't fare well either. Actually, no one fares well. So what? Excuse me? That is a phoenix. Funny that, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah. So the phoenix is closely connected with the plasma event. This book here, The Holy Grail of the Flat Earth, brought out in 2018, has got a chapter on the phoenix being a plasma event. Just putting that out there. It's like other people talk about it all the time. And the most effective way to destroy people is to deny and obliterate their understanding of their history. And that is so true. You know, somebody said to me earlier on, that he was talking about flat earth for someone, and someone said to him, "What difference does it make?" It's like, what? To me, that's just astounding. It's like, what difference does it make when you're not on a spinning ball and it's like somebody put this here? It's like, literally, dude, somebody put this here. But this as well, you know, the history of what went before us. We've got an idea from the history books, which is just a chronology of royal families and their battles. And believe you me, right, I spent a good part of my life going to these battle sites to try and find these places. Battle of Hastings, Battle of Boyne, Battle of Stamford Bridge, all of these different places. And when you get there, they're like, we don't actually know where the battle was, because it didn't really exist, because it's in the history books. Who controls the past? Controls the future. Who controls the present? Controls the past. This is from 1984, George Orwell. As you know, it gives us loads of truths. This one is a definite, okay? This is how they control the past. They tell us that they don't want to enrich us by telling us how fantastic superhumans we were in the past. We were dumb as shit, and we were chucking buckets of pee out of the window. That's what we were doing, okay? We were up to nothing. They don't want us to know how fantastic we were, okay? And now we're getting there again, you see. We're getting to that stage of consciousness, that shift again, where we're basically to the next stage, the next step of conscious evolution, if you want to call it that. So AC/DC knew a thing or two about hell's bells. I do think that we're in hell, and as I think these are hell's bells. I think AC/DC told us all about it. The past was erased, and the lie became truth. People will argue, and people really pride themselves on what they've learned about history. I was the same when I was a NASA fanboy. You know, I would like to tell everybody about how far the far things were away. Oh, the Centurion, do you know how long it takes to get there here? So, yeah, this is how far we were technologically advanced in the past. This is in a town, Wolfsburg, near Frankfurt in Germany, and it is an electric SkyTrain. Okay, so it's generating electric somewhere. I don't know where the power station is, because the rest of the world's supposed to be a horse and carty. But what you can see is the beautiful architecture. Their windows blocked up there. The reasoning for that, they say, is window tax in Britain, but that can't be the same for everywhere in the world. There's a reason, okay, that they're blocking off the windows from natural light in the past, and I think it's to do with the resets and what the sun was doing. I think the sun is not the same sun anymore. I think our sun is hidden by a disk of golden light. I think that the white LED sun is not the sun I grew up with. I grew up with this lovely yellow sun. It was really massive and felt lovely and yummy. And now we got this LCD sun, which is not the same sun. So there is, you know, I'm not going with, obviously climate change is bullshit, but I'm saying there is a cycle, a loop of the way the sun behaves, and it is getting hotter. And it will continue to get hotter. So maybe that is why the streets were empty in the past.
But what year was that?
1906.
Great.
Makes you think, right? The world is full of horse and carty, yet they put all of these massive steel structures up and that gantry when the world is, you know, they built it on a horse and cart, apparently, and all their buildings as well. And what you won't see as well, guys, is any of these buildings being built. And if you go to your favourite building in your city and then you go Google it and say, oh, can I see this building being built, please? Photographs. None exist. I mean, none exist. Should tell you something. Okay? Especially when photographs are supposed to have been around since the 1840s, apparently. So, here is a little ditty about flat earth that was produced for me a few years ago to and a poem that I wrote.
Yeah, nice one.
Thank you. Much love to you all. Thank you all for being here. You've been absolutely awesome. Thanks for a happy 4th birthday to the social.
That was brilliant, wasn't it? Come on, give it up to Martin. Thank you, Martin. That was fantastic. Any questions on that? There's some deep stuff going on here. I'm going to start at the back, and we'll come. We'll come.
You're there, laddie.
Oh, Ivy.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about if you're aware of the Glock.
Excuse me?
Talking about bows, in Germany, they had the Glock bow.
Oh yeah, the Glock, yes.
Yeah,
of
do you
course.
know anything about that?
Well, yeah, and it's supposed to be some sort of time machine. Apparently it disappeared in the experiments, then turned up in a field in America, Clarksburg, Pennsylvania, is it? In the 1950s, and like the Ancient Aliens crew like to go on about it being some sort of time machine. But yeah, it's really interesting, the Glock, and it's really interesting that the Nazis had advanced technologies and all that. But to be honest with you, it seems like a bit like programming to me.
Programming. I don't know. I can't verify the Glock. All it is a couple of pictures, isn't there? But you know, the technology behind it is fantastical. It was based on the Manna technology of spinning mercury to create anti-gravity. Yeah. So exactly. So I think that theory is sound. I think that, but whether or not it could travel through time, I think to be able to time travel, I don't think you need a machine. I think you do it with this. That's what I think. Precognitive abilities, to be able to glimpse the future, is the biggest hack that we can do in this place. It's the biggest, to be able to tip ourselves off from danger and to be able to gauge the next day accurately to win it is the greatest gift we can have here. And that's what they want. That's what it's all about. That's what Jesus was prophet. That's why prophets are profit. They profit from profit. But I think that is the biggest thing that they don't want us to unleash is precognitive abilities. That's what I think.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Adi, you had your hand up, mate, did you?
Adi, come on, bro.
You can shout from there.
My question is, the cymatic patterns, do you reckon they use the water to make them?
Yes. Yeah, I saw it, Jessica. So if you had a pool of water, and then you put the vibrational quality in it, and then it reflected on the ceiling because they put lights on it, then you have someone come along and just do a stencil and there's your image. Because this is highly technological stuff. So I think they are using the template.
Well, what about to actually shape it? Like, if they're like energy, that they use the water to shape stone into these.
Yeah, but I think they can do it through chant. I've seen like examples of people doing surgery, okay, yeah, through and causing a creation of a vibrational quality which shuts off the pain receptors in a person, and then they remove their appendix, for example. Okay, there's examples that I've literally downloaded years ago of this happening. Okay, Japanese doctors were practicing it. So sound quality can no pain. Okay, sound quality. You know the work of what's that Japanese name?
Nakamoto guy.
The one with the rose.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's his name? Sorry. Emote. Yeah. So that guy. Yeah.
Thanks.
So I can't verify that, but I do feel it's working. I've done the experiment with like a bean and put like, you know, you're a twat on it, and then another bean saying, oh, I really love your ass, and then basically the one I said nice things to, and a really, really good bean, and the other one like just shriveled up and really sucked. So I was like, yeah, that definitely works. But with vibrational qualities, like I reckon that chanting or a specific, because I think it's all about a key. I think the key to this place, and we give off light, right? Yeah, literally, I posted about it last night. It's too dim for us to actually see, but we are giving off a light, okay? And it's called sonoluminescence. So I think like a star in a jar, okay, that lights up when star in a jar is in the water, okay, and that vibration causes that star to happen. Well, I think human beings are exactly the same, which is why you see saints with a corona around their heads, because they have lit up. And what they did, they found the key. The key is a key. It's a sound. And once they found that sound, that vibration, they lit the fuck up. And once one person lights up, other people light up. Light up. And that's what happened in the world before. And it was down to a vibrational quality of sound that has been suppressed and taken away from us, which we have to find.
Excellent. Martin, I've got a question. Oh, carry on there.
Wasn't there someone who invented a pair of glasses, like blue glasses?
I tried to.
Sorry?
I tried them in America.
Okay. Can you get them or see your order?
I see orders anyway. I see orders on everything, from cars to chairs to people to everything, because everything is consciousness and everything is aware. So I see it on everything anyway. But then glasses I tried in America, yeah, and you know that guy said he was using infrared in Vietnam, first of all, yeah, and then he started seeing demons running towards him, and then they changed it to the green colour that we have today. Yeah. So it's along them. Them glasses, like literally, you're supposed to be able to see, because I do think that there's some sort of entities in you, and I have literally witnessed, yeah, really bad people, and they literally, their heads are down like that, and they've got a weight on them, yeah. And if you could witness it, yeah, there's like these black entities that are on them, going like that, because of all the negative intent, yeah. And there's a film called Odd Thomas that exemplifies this brilliantly.
Cool.
Odd Thomas. Okay. Yeah, it's a brilliant film, but it shows you these entities latching to negative thought forms, people who cannot let it go, you know? That'd be the best advice in this place, is the Beatles, they did say one profound thing, and that is let it be, and that's what I do in this place. Now, I've changed my whole, my philosophy is still essentially the same as when I was a kid, but I literally gave all my chi energy away to narcissistic people, so basically, I retain it now for me. So I noticed that a lot of people, when you're awake, right, the first thing that happens is when you go into a room, yeah, everybody notices the charge, the atmosphere completely changes. And when you're awake, people want to come up to you and they want to tell you stuff. It's like, oh, you're a really shiny being. Let me tell you more about this.
They do want to tell you about
stuff. They do want to tell you.
They try and lie. It's completely strange.
Yeah, so what I get is a phenomenon called dead dogging. Do you know about dead dogging? No. So some people will come up to me and go,
awful.
oh, it is. It's like, oh, I am Matt. Oh, I'm glad I met you. You never know. You know, guess what? My dog died. I'm really sorry to hear that. So, and then, and this happened over a period of 2 years that it got so hysterical. And people coming up to me and saying, And their opening words was, oh, my family's dead, I'm on my own. So what this is trauma bonding, and it's not healthy for you to put up with, okay? They are trauma bonding with you. So what? You go out of the house and you want to feel all groovy, and then the first person you come wants to drop your vibration and take that light away from you by pissing you off and dead dogging you. So you have to spot it beforehand. There is a protocol, and it's being polite. It's like, yeah, I don't give a shit. I walk away. Okay? It's not being cruel, it's just I never knew you, and the dog, I love dogs, but I never knew the dog. You could be a light little bastard, you could be a little chihuahua with a big pimple. You don't know, do you? So, but yeah, so my mind has completely changed over the last few years, especially with giving away my chi energy, and I tell you what, retaining it for myself has given me superhuman abilities. It really has.
Any more questions? Good. I've got a question.
Anybody?
Martin, I've got a question. How or what do you think the cause of the mud flood was?
What do you think happened? What do you...
I think it was artificial and deliberate.
The only I asked that question because a few people think that the 1,000-year millennial reign of Christ ended, and that was the deal. And then, you know, what do you
I don't
think?
go with that.
No?
No, I think all of human history's happened in the last 700 years. And I am a believer in Jesus, and I do think all of this happened in the medieval period, between 11 and 1200. Okay? And all of human history's just been in the last 800 years. I think that we have.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I think. If you look into, you know, you can look this for yourself. You look into like Polish history, for example. They've only got 200 years of the first millennium AD, so it's not even there. There's no history's been written. Okay? And you find this for stacks of European countries, okay? There's literally, it's called the Dark Ages for a reason, because it's not there. I think at least 1,200 years have been added to the calendar. At least.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Anybody else? Any last questions? Something back. Hold on. Then I'll come to you.
I was just wondering, when obviously majority of us know about how the sun has changed colour to white. I remember seeing it and just going, wow, and that was about 5 years ago. But when do you think it actually changed, and why?
Well, I had to, the day they cracked CERN up, I was working in B&Q Garden Centre, believe it or not, right? And I waited for it to, and I knew there was a time difference between us and France. I was watching the watch, I was thinking, what's going on? Has it happened yet? And the moment they said that they switched it on, okay, this is the experience I had. But I had stepped out of this reality, and I was in a completely different 3.0 reality, and everybody else, even though I could see them, was all in another reality. I thought, shit, there's literally, I've split off into another reality. Okay, that's what I thought. So I don't think this is the same realm as before. There's nothing the same. The hues are different, the colours are different, vegetation, nature's different, the sky's different, the weather's different, the sun's different, and the people are fucking different. Okay? They have really, really changed, the people. I mean the masses. And not only here in Britain, the people are acting the same all over the world. It doesn't even matter what country they're in. They're all repeating the same bullshit, they look the same, and they act the same. Okay? That's what's going on in the world. It's this mind control. I think that there's a hypnosis into play, and I think it's been lifted for a lot of people. Whether or not this is deliberate, or if we did it, I don't know. But the hypnosis, once that's lifted, you're literally flabbergasted. You're like, I can't believe what they're believing. What? For you, it's quite simple. They just believe in the stupidest shit you can't believe it. But that's hypnosis for you, and the hypnosis goes deep. Television is a big part of that hypnosis. That's why it's called programs, because it programs you.
So Martin, when did you first notice the change in the sun? What sort of year were we looking at?
Before 2020, before COVID, yeah. I first started talking about the sun changes about 2018. Somewhere around that time. When I first started noticing it, yeah.
Anybody else? There was someone at the front. Was it you?
Oh yeah. Just when you talk about frequencies and A4 being 440 and you're doing it 432. it always worries me that there's a double-edged sort of side to frequencies, and not only did they change the pitch, but they also changed it from equal temperament, well, to equal temperament, from modal temperament. And that's something that a lot of people, when you say you have all of your music re-edited to 432, which is great. I've done that with my piano, and I do prefer it that way. And a lot of people, when they go to an old piano which is very flat, they say, oh, it's got a lovely sweet mellow tone, it feels really nice, right? So the problem that I have with what happened in the 48 bars, 48 pros and views, is that they manipulated sort of the fifth particularly. So you've got a ratio of 3 to 2. The harmonic sequence, harmonic series of that should be, 2 octaves above in the fifth, and that should be a tone like that. But that would be a modal frequency, a specific type of temperament. Okay. With equal temperament, you've got that fifth being from the G to the D, which will be going at roughly 2 beats per second. E, 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 E. And that is where I think we are losing the power of frequency and sound. They've distorted it slightly so that the harmonic series is now not true and not powerful. Yeah. I prefer music which is true, so you've got a pure fifth. It doesn't mean you've got things like Devil in Musica and The Wolf that you'll get within equal temperament, but the whole, if you imagine before Bart's 48 Pros and Views, we all listened to music how we're given it by God, right? But then after that, we've all been deprogrammed to hear frequencies in a slightly unaltered way. And when you go up the piano, you're only getting 4, 3, 2 around that like octave. Beyond that, it's stretching. So I think I wish somebody would sort of do music more.
Well, Alex has been working on solfeggio, and he mentions this cutting off of the tone instead of the long, and now it's just do. So it cuts off that expression when you're getting into it. So Alex has been talking about that recently. Alex Michael.
He came and he did his talk with us a few months ago, and his new album is out now.
Yeah, no, I see that.
It's just really decent.
In the Roslyn Chapel, I actually think the sound that we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, they literally did that, didn't they? They took out the and literally it sounds like Benedictine monks.
But I think the code to it is in the harmonic series. It's telling you. So it's not telling you the fundamental.
I like that.
It's telling you the harmonic series thing. You figure out the code to the harmonic series, and then you can work back to the fundamental. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, I know.
That's really good. Thank you.
Did you ever hear what they said? Apparently, there's a thing that happens with albums in contemporary music, like for example, Physical Graffiti from Led Zeppelin, where apparently they have black magicians coming in and doing spells on the master copy. And then the master copy is mass produced, but it's already tainted by black magic.
The same thing happened with Boyzone. The same. There's an interview of one of the Irish guys saying they literally had people coming in and demonically praying over
their music. Yeah. So that shit's happening.
Wow. Yeah. And that's in the modern era. So it's
contemporary
any more for Martin. Right, ladies and gentlemen. Let's round it up, and once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, and thank you very much to Martin. Thank you. I don't know who's coming next month. Thank you for being part of this journey for the last 4 years. I don't know where it's going after this, maybe another 4 years, but thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I love you all, and you're fantastic people. All Flat Earthers are great people. See you all next month. Thank you very much, and once again, Martin Liedtke. Thank you.